Pope Francis, the first non-European pontiff in more than a millennia, has died. The 88-year-old passed away this morning.
Carissimi fratelli e sorelle, con profondo dolore devo annunciare la morte del nostro Santo Padre Francesco. Alle ore 7:35 di questa mattina, il Vescovo di Roma Francesco è tornato alla casa del Padre. La sua vita tutta intera è stata dedicata al servizio del Signore e della sua Chiesa.
He made his final public appearance yesterday, greeting thousands of worshippers gathered at the Vatican for Easter Sunday Mass. Pope Francis was elected in 2013 and was the first Latin American leader of the Roman Catholic Church. He spent his final years in and out of hospital, most recently hospitalized for 5 weeks in Rome for double pneumonia in mid-February. Tributes are pouring in with the passing of Pope Francis. Taiwan has sent condolences, saying it will send envoys of the appropriate level to the funeral. The Vatican is one of only 12 countries to maintain formal diplomatic relations with Taiwan. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi lauds the legacy of the late pontiff, saying he will always be remembered as a beacon of compassion, humility and spiritual courage by millions across the world. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas described him as a faithful friend of the Palestinian people. Spain's Prime Minister hailed Pope Francis's commitment to peace, social justice and the most vulnerable, adding that he leaves behind a profound legacy. Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni described the late pontiff as a great man and shepherd. French President Emmanuel Macron calling him a man of humility who was on the side of the most vulnerable and fragile. The EU chief Ursula von der Leyen remembered the late Pope's pure humility and love of the less fortunate. Now, moving on to German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, he hailed Pope Francis a man of reconciliation, while the Dutch Prime Minister called the late pontiff a man of the people who recognized and called attention to the burning issues of our day. The Church of England's most senior cleric praised the late Pope's desire to lead and build the Church in new ways. Well, let's take a look back at Pope Francis's time as head of the Catholic Church.
This
is the moment the world met Pope Francis in 2013, who asked his followers to pray for him as he took on his new role and new identity. He was born Jorge Mario Bergoglio in Buenos Aires, Argentina in 1936 to Italian immigrants. Ordained into the priesthood in 1969, Bergoglio rose through the ranks to become Archbishop of Buenos Aires.
Ed era una figura molto originale, ero molto incuriosito.
Lucio Brunelli is a journalist who first met then Cardinal Bergoglio in 2005. 2 days after the papal conclave in 2013, Brunelli got a surprise phone call.
Fui presa alla sprovvista, poi insomma tutta la tensione di quei giorni e ebbi un momento di grande commozione, non riuscivo a parlare, mi scusai, dico mi scusi, santità. Non posso dimenticare la sua risposta perché dice molto di come è fatto lui. Lui rimase assolutamente tranquillo, disse no ma non ti preoccupare Lucio, finisci pure, io ti aspetto, ti devo dire una cosa.
That personal touch seemed to run through everything he did, calling out indifference to the plight of migrants, insisting that homosexuality is not a crime, or warning that climate change affects the poorest in society first.
Che è un papa latinoamericano ma con radici europee, perché il padre partì nel 1928 da Genova in nave per arrivare in Argentina e quindi ha vissuto l'esperienza di essere prima generazione di un popolo di emigranti e questo gli ha dato una particolare sensibilità rispetto a certi temi. L'altro è che guarda alla Chiesa non con una prospettiva eurocentrica.
That global vision was also reflected in his 11-day tour of Asia and Oceania in 2024. Taking in Indonesia, Papua New Guinea and Timor-Leste before wrapping up in Singapore, it was the longest trip of his entire papacy. Throughout, the aging pontiff urged his followers to embrace interfaith harmony, insisting that religions are simply different languages to arrive at God. But like any world leader, Pope Francis leaves behind a mixed legacy. He explicitly criminalized sexual abuse under Vatican law and issued apologies for abuse scandals around the world. Survivor groups, though, said there was still a lack of accountability in the higher echelons of the Church. In the end, the world will perhaps remember Pope Francis for his approach to the papacy rather than his results. A pope who was quick with a joke but never quick to judge, who shunned the lavish trappings of his office for a simpler life, the people's pope.